Hi there, everybody. This is Carolyn Elliott.
And this is Laila Bernard.
And we are sitting on Layla's couch having snacks.
And tea.
And tea.
And you're listening to the Sleepover Podcast.
Yeah, yeah, you're listening to the Sleepover Podcast.
Welcome, friends.
Hi.
Hello. We missed you.
Hi. So we were just talking about what to talk about. We were thinking about rest and the parts of us that resist rest.
Yeah, I mean, this time of year is a time of year that I feel my body naturally always just wants to do way, way, way less. Mm-hmm. And it is so difficult for me to give permission to those yin, non-productive, feminine parts of myself. And we all need it. And I think it's really one of the huge disservices to our own wholeness that we resist that so very deeply.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. And I resist it super hard. I feel like this really intense pressure to keep going and handling everything and figuring everything out. And I was recently talking to my wonderful friend, Luis Mojica, who is going to be doing Sleepover Mystery School with us. And Luis was pointing out to me that my body seemed to be we were doing a session. He's a somatic therapist. And he was saying that it sounds like my body is really asking me to slow down and stop doing all the things. And I was like, Luis, that sounds really great. I have no idea how to do that. The to-do list and the emails to be read and the bills to be sent and the this to be done. How the fuck does anybody figure it out to give themselves space? And the only way that I've been able to get my brain to consent to giving me a little bit of room is by telling myself, Carolyn, if we don't set aside these things and give ourselves some serious non-productive time, then you're gonna get sick. You're gonna get really sick, and then who knows how long you'll have to rest.
The darkness will claim you in a more serious and violent way, because it will have its way with you one way or another. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the wisdoms of, traditions that have a Sabbath day. Where the fuck is our Sabbath culture? We don't have one. There's no such thing. And that's just, it's something that we all really need in tiny increments all the time.
Well, when was the last time you gave yourself a deep, non-productive rest, Layla?
Well, Carolyn, I'm pretty good at doing nothing, actually. What I'm not good at is feeling good about doing nothing.
Yeah, right.
Right? I'm actually pretty good at rest. Pretty darn good at the resting. But it's the oh God, I have now let everyone down, including myself, and have nothing to show for this time. Mm-hmm. That's really the waster.
Oh yeah. I really. Mm-hmm. Well, when was the time that you gave yourself rest and you felt really good about it?
I will say that one of the ways that I have pulled myself out of very unproductive, sad funks is by really fully luxuriating in all of the funk. So, when I notice myself desiring to sleep in, just giving it to myself, utterly luxuriating in it, really does, it does help. And yet, I have to be honest, Carolyn, that sometimes I have to notice that tormenting myself is what I secretly really would rather do. And that's another layer of permission to give myself is the permission to torment.
I'm certainly quite attached to that myself, and I'm certainly very attached to telling myself that if I'm just laying around not doing anything, then everything will fall apart, and when I come back to having to do it, it'll just be worse. So I might as well keep plugging through. But there are people out there who, like, I read about them on the internet. One of the reasons I had to get off Instagram for a while after we talked about the glories of Instagram, yeah. I felt like capitulating to you, Brian, okay? I see your point. It can be, but one of the reasons I needed to take a break, I was like, oh my God, there's all these people on Instagram posting about how gloriously resting and happy they are to be like, I don't know what, how good they feel about not doing anything. And here I am looking at Instagram, trying to figure out what to post to keep the hustle going. I'm like, oh boy, this is not good. So people figure it out. At least they say they do on Instagram.
At least they say they do on Instagram. But I think, the thing that like this like really invites me into is like, the recognition that we will always both need rest and resist rest. And like those polarities are going to always be opposing. And that's like really our duty, is not to be like hating the hustle and glorifying the rest while also not shunning rest and glorifying the hustle. Like we are called to like know that there's seasons for all of them, and that we can trust in the fact that like, that's, I guess what I'm really getting down to here is like, I always trust that the season of tiredness and like obsession with rest and like desperation for rest should be honored, because it will go away. And if I haven't rested in that time, then when am I going to fucking do it? Because it leaves just as much as it always shows up. And like, when we don't have time, or when we don't have the urge, like, we miss it.
Yeah. Do you do any mind tricks on yourself? Like the one that I was telling you about telling myself if I don't actually take a break and feel good about it, then it'll make me sick. Do you?
My mind tricks?
Yeah.
Well, I wish I had one queued up, but I do always, Carolyn, return to the fact that like, I'm in my experience because I love my experience. And even if that is giving myself a hard time, okay, well, then giving myself a hard time is what I'm about right now. Let's have at it so that we can move on to the next thing.
Oh, that reminds me of something I used to do in grad school that I should try again, which is I would set a timer and worry as hard as I could for 15 minutes. Just like... and that would relieve it a bit by like you're saying, like going in the direction of thing.
Yeah, like, I've lately just been allowing myself to read a tremendous lot. And then when I'm like, holy shit, I've been reading enough today, do something else. Like, I think that's the like, the thing about being trapped in this like cyclical recurring experience is that like, it just keeps moving. It just keeps moving. And like, I know that I'm tormenting myself the most when I'm forgetting that it's not moving, or like when I'm forgetting that it's not going to pass. Like I think maybe that's like the best mind trick that I have for myself, is reminding myself that like, the next thing will be here before I know it. The next thing will be here soon. Because when I'm feeling suffering or like sorry for myself or frightened about what's happening, it's usually because I'm like, this will never end. And like this need for rest, I think that's what paralyzes us towards our need for rest, is that we're like, well, if I rest, in parentheses, forever, nothing will ever get done, Instead of realizing like, I will be full of resting very soon if I just fucking get down to it and do it.
Yeah, I think I just thought of a mind trick that's been helping me lately. So I have noticed that I tend to, I've been getting into NLP lately. That's neuro-linguistic programming, for those of you who've never heard the term before. And it's sort of a way of working with the mind and the unconscious that's very magical, very uses visualization and all of the tools of magic. And one thing that they emphasize in NLP is the way that we create our states. Like, so if you're feeling bad or if you're tormenting yourself, like getting curious, what images does my mind bring up? What, snippets of things does my mind play that helps me produce this tormented or dull or depressed condition? And I've been noticing that something that my mind does that is, show me an image of something, and it's just like, it's dull, it's dreary, it's just like a snapshot of like the worst memory from the past that I had of that thing, like going to the DMV. Like, I'm supposed to go to the DMV to renew my driver's license.
Me too. Was on the phone talking about it with someone today, and I was like, oh God.
And I'll be like, okay, Carolyn, time to go to the DMV, and my mind will bring up these images of like just desolate hours at the DMV. And I noticed that what was something else I needed to do? I needed to cancel a subscription to something because my budget is changing, and I was like dreading just like making the stupid phone call to like change the subscription. And I noticed that I was like, all right, well, NLP, what do you do to like feel better about things in NLP? Well, you make the lights bright and the colors bright. And so I just pictured making the phone call to end the subscription and just having it being filled with sparkles, just like putting tons and tons of like My Little Pony sparkles around making the damn phone call. And I did that. I was like, oh yeah, I want to make that phone call. That phone call is My Little Pony sparkles. Yeah, I'm doing it.
And you did it.
And I did it. And I think maybe what I need to do is put like lots of sparkles in images of myself resting, because I think like images that I have of like still down periods in my life are connected to like really depressed periods in my life where like I didn't do anything because I
wasn't feeling up to it.
Couldn't. And so they're like images that are like just like super janky. And I'm like, I can show myself, I can just put sparkles on it. Also, I don't even have to like
you can put like a cozy spa robe on it.
Yes.
You can put nail polish on it. All kinds of wonderful things. True fact. Yes.
And yeah, I don't know, that's just been an interesting study, like paying attention to the ways that like, okay, so it's long been known in, right, like the self-help world that negative thinking is no bueno.
No bueno. Not what you're going for.
And my mind has a naturally kind of gloomy, pessimistic inclination of like, life is sorrow. It's all just, you're just standing, sitting, or lying down in
Malkuth, in samsara, one way or another.
And I think I heard Byron Katie say that once, and she did not mean it in a super grim way, but I took it in this like really grim way of like, that's right, that's all it is. You're just standing, sitting, or lying down. There's nothing else but that. And I'll be like, here I am just sitting again. Stupid sitting. Here I am standing like a chump.
Like a chump existing.
But likewise, there's also like I can have the option. So affirmations don't really work well for me, like the standard affirmation protocol, because it always just feels like lying to myself. But this thing with the images does work better. And I noticed like I was practicing surrounding myself, like my daughter watches this show called Rainbow Ruby, which is like a very bright, colorful anime show, and there's these like cartoon rainbows that go all around. I was like, what if I just imagined the rest of my day as like riding on a cartoon rainbow, just like through my day. I'm gonna drive from the eyelash place to go see Layla and have snacks and record a podcast. I'm gonna ride on a sparkling anime rainbow, and I'm gonna go on that same sparkling anime rainbow back to my house, hang out with Lulu and David, and just like whoosh, 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 just imagining the rainbow surrounding me. And it does help.
It does help. I notice that for me personally, one of the things that helps me the most is when I recognize that one of the things that makes me resist rest is that I associate rest with loneliness. And what I really want to be doing is like be sharing love. And I think I'm assigning myself right now Tonglen as a rest exercise.
Oh yeah.
Tonglen as a rest exercise, because that's what keeps me from really indulging in true rest, is that I'm like, well, I could go see my friends and like we could shoot the breeze and like not accomplish much, and that would be like resting, but not exactly the same as like a really restorative, self-nourishing resting.
You know what? You were reminding me. I feel like it would be like, man, I would love to redevote myself to Tonglen, key bodhisattva practice. And yeah, Tonglen does have this like super... So for anybody listening who's not familiar, Tonglen is a Tibetan Buddhist practice of sending and taking, where like you breathe in the pain of others. Like you can do like the pain of other people having a hard time giving themselves permission to rest. Breathe that in and imagine that there's like a hard shell around your heart, like the hard shell of egotism. And you breathe in that pain as this like thick, black, acrid smoke that dissolves the hard shell around your heart. And then your heart becomes this like glowing beacon that's like a sun that's super hot that takes in that black smoke and burns it up, cleans it up. And then you breathe out the sunshine of love and good fortune and good wishes and everything to the others who are also experiencing the same suffering as yourself. And absolutely every time I've really gotten into Tonglen, it has relieved loneliness to an amazing degree, because you just feel so connected with all of the other suffering people.
Yes. And like, yeah, you're doing work with them. You're being with them, helping. And I think that that's one of the reasons, like one of the true altruistic reasons that we like resist taking care of ourselves, is because we're like, but why just for me? Like you can't rest for anyone else. But indeed, I think we can and like have to, because what's making us all so scared of resting, except that we're all like looking at each other being like, you're not doing it, are you? Well, okay, well, I won't either. All right, fine. I guess we won't. I guess we're all just going to keep growing and getting bigger, Well,
yeah, absolutely. And that is like, I mean, how has like the pace of life has accelerated such, and what do we mean when we say the pace of life? I feel like what we mean is like the expectations that we feel on us to get things done or reply to communications or whatever.
Show up, be seen. I mean, there's just, sometimes it's not a time for that. And I think it's important that we all like remember that it comes and goes. Like sometimes we're in outward and sometimes we're in inward. And like, it's I think it's important when we're talking about like being whole that we remember that like feeling down is part of wholeness. And like we like that's, I think, maybe like the most toxic thing that can happen when we're all trying to work on ourselves, is imagining that feeling down is evidence that we have failed in like healing or experiencing life more fully. Like being down is experiencing life fully. Never allowing yourself to feel that is not better than feeling it.
Truly, yeah. I'm reminded of Nicole Dedone used to talk about the importance of going into the down, and how she talked about, she called them like the false down is like shame about resting, just generally feeling bad about oneself, all of those things, because that it's like you feel down, like you feel shitty, but you're not surrendering. You're not like, all right, work on me, hands of the angels.
Right. It's like I can feel in the energy of like, I can feel that when I do that to myself, there's kind of a like, I feel like some mean part of myself is like pressing another part of myself's face to the glass and being like, look at that, ew. But like, we can't go in it. We're not really allowed to go in it. We're just going to look at it from the outside and be like, ugh.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're aware of it, but like, there's a barrier. I feel like that shame barrier is real.
Yeah, and this is reminding me of another piece of wisdom. I'm just like trying to draw in all the wisdom I've ever heard about rest.
Yeah.
But Catherine McKinnon's book on Becoming an Alchemist, I'm a fan of that book, and she talks in there about the dark night of the soul, and as being like a cyclical experience that magicians, alchemists undergo. Pretty much everybody undergoes it, but do you know that you're having a dark night of the soul? That's basically the only difference.
Right.
You understand. And she talks about in there that like that same sort of quality of surrender that I think that Nicole was talking about, of sort of just like laying there in trust that things are going on in your divine unconscious. Angels are working on you, and they just need you to be still and shut the fuck up while they do their thing, and to just, you know, try to actively receive, like, active reception of that. I think, you know what? I think that might be my key to rest, is like calling it active reception.
Active reception. Yes.
You know, like the Quakers waiting
in expectation.
Waiting in expectation to hear from God.
Totally.
And yeah, because there is a way in which the like the mental stuff of like, these 50 things that you could be doing right now but you're not, and blah, 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 or like, how terrible are you because you don't feel like doing the things.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you're so bereft of inspiration right now. Oh, it'll never be back. Oh.
But that's like a way of not, you know, being still and knowing I am God, right?
Indeed. God likes to chill as well. Yeah, I mean, I especially wanted to talk about this, like, you know, in the lead up to the solstice and the holidays, and just to really notice how truly, if we look at the fractal universe that is trying to communicate to us the truth, right now is a time of darkness and night and like, I mean, in the northern hemisphere, you know, like it's darkness and night, and like maybe not so much outside depending on where you live, but like, you know, I'm a 4 seasons gal, so I feel it. I really feel the invitation of the universe to it. And right at the same time, everyone is like, let's put up all the lights. Let's like spend all the money. Let's go wild with all these parties and like, let's be together. And I think that it's like totally understandable to be like, there's a mismatch here in the expectation and the reality, and to just choose one, like just to be in the be in the paradox of like, I am defying the natural order and enjoy without complaint the like mad thing of like spewing one's light into the darkness, or to like with glee retreat. Like, I just think it's important to listen and know that like that is what's actually being asked and shown and given in the like fractal reality of this time of year. Like, it's okay. It's perfectly okay to slow down, and to like resent, I mean, I'm going to say it's okay to resent, because why not? To like resent the resistance to that, the like falseness of like lying about the tiredness, about the nighttime.
Yes, totally. And that's, I mean, I love Christmas, and I've put on big holiday parties many years in the past, and I've gotten cute presents for everybody, and I do not foresee that happening this year. I'm like, my psyche is crying out to not do that. And I can notice, like, you know, what comes up is like the fear of disappointing people, or like the fear of like not providing a magical Santa Claus moment that I somehow decided it was like my responsibility to provide for everybody.
Yeah. Well, you are Santa Claus in many ways, Carolyn.
Well, thank you. But you know what that makes me think of is what I have been feeling lately, and what I'm really grateful for, is I have been feeling like a more tender trust in the spirit of Santa Claus himself. Like the end, which is also, right, like the birth of the Christ consciousness, just like the sweet, sweet, miraculous gift that just appears, and like the way that it's, oh goodness, I've been in this deep confrontation with myself lately. I've been like, wow, Carolyn, for a teacher of magic, you sure do like to resist believing in magic. Which is like, which has to do with my whole showdown with my pimp brain thing that I'm having lately, of being like, wow, there's like, because I noticed, I don't know, I'm trying to find a way to say this, but like I can feel these like beautiful openings of like trusting in the miraculous, of being like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but you know what, it's gonna be good.
I'm going to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. And just like this rich, deep miracle wellspring. And then I hear like my brain come on and just be like, no, it's not. It'll be shit, like always. Like the inner Grinch gremlin that lives in there too.
The inner Krampus.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, I went to a Advent service, and that's really feeling, beautiful in the tone of like waiting expectantly. Mm-hmm. Waiting expectantly, like even if you're not fucking sure what is going to happen next, waiting with the expectation that it will be fine. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that I've been feeling a lot lately, and that I do feel often this time of year, is impatience. Mm. Like the slower pace definitely grinds my gears into an impatient attitude. And I think that like the expectation, well, like positive expectation, not like, expectation is a word that gets used so many times, but like anticipation, mm-hmm. I guess anticipation is really like, I think, a remedy for impatience. Mm-hmm. Really like knowing that, I mean, we've talked about this before, but like being in the tension of like the tease of it's coming, as opposed to like the frustration of it's not here yet.
Yeah. Well, and isn't that what so much of Tantra boils down to, is like, can you just enjoy the yearning rather than like the enjoyment of the yearning is the fulfillment, instead of like, I want something that's not here.
Yeah. Well, I think perhaps, Carolyn, that's why we are so drawn to the tantric path, because I know that I am desperately impatient. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, and also fucking love yearning. Just like, damn, cannot get enough of the yearning. Mm-hmm. Like when my wishes are fulfilled, I notice I'm immediately ready for the next thing. Do love that yearning.
It's true. I also, patience is my most challenging virtue to practice, for sure. Trying to think of another virtue that might be harder than patience. No, it's patience. Patience,
yeah. Yep. Well, yeah. Yep.
So I was having a really deep talk with Pamela on this podcast last time about, and I was telling you a bit about it, like the world's shifting and like the different frequencies coming in. Oh, that's another reason why I'm feeling this like deep need to rest, is I feel like I need to tune in. I need to like open to this frequency of, the trust in the larger wholeness, as opposed to like the I'm an isolated little automaton and I better produce fast as I can. And yeah, I guess I was just curious about like, have you been feeling new frequencies coming in, or have you been feeling any beckonings towards different vibrations?
Well, I have been feeling, you know, yesterday I was reading a wonderful little article that was talking about, the solar rose, the like opening of the solar rose of the heart, and the metaphor of bees making honey. And I can feel how lately my heart is like, what can I make to make the world more beautiful? Like, what can I like joyously be giving of myself to like ease the pain and suffering of the world? And like that puts me in a more joyful expectation than like, what can I get for me?
Yes.
And like giving myself to like, you know, I think that that's part of my like resistance to rest is like being like, but I'm not helping, you know, but I'm not helping. And I think that like really tuning in and feeling the like desire to help and like make honey, you know, like make honey to share feels more alive than like, how do I take care of me? Like if I ask, what do I need to do to take care of me? Then I'm like, not inspired. I'm like feeling overwhelmed by it. But when I put the focus on like, what can I do that like is balm, that's more inviting.
That's beautiful. I'm going to really dive into that myself because I feel that. I feel the inspiration and the aliveness in that way of framing one's daily activity. Like, what can I do?
What can I do? I mean, yeah, truly, like as I've been resting in my like down period, I've been going to church a lot because I love ritual, and like who else is putting on great rituals but churches? I don't know. I got to find them. We got to do more of it. And just like really weeping and I'm reading wonderful books about like the monastic life and really feeling like, God, it would be fun to like have a community around you of people who were like holding down the prayers and holding down the like rhythm of the day. And like, you could see how all of your work was like contributing to your brothers and sisters. And like, that's one.
Oh, hey everybody, real quick. Sorry, we got interrupted. My dear friend, the Hermetic healer, Crystal Woodling, called me on the phone to make Christmas plans. But I think we've said enough about rest for today, perhaps. Laila, do you have anything to add?
Only that it's the best when we give ourselves permission to do it, and may we all get the rest that we need.
Yes, may everybody have lots of rainbow, anime, sparkle, permission to rest within themselves. Yay. Bye-bye, everyone.